court is now in session for the trial of Mr. John Doe.
Objection!
Okay, first of all, how could you have any problems when I just said the suspect's name? And also, how do you do that speech bubble thing? Like, how's that even humanly possible? Oh, sorry, I was just trying to find the pun, the suspect's name. I'm sorry, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. There's no pun in the suspect's name.
Impossible.
Okay, whatever. Will the prosecution just give their opening statement? Yes, of course. Okay, clearly the defendant has been proven guilty. I'm going to give—
Hold it!
What now? Oh my— Your Honor, the trial isn't over. I still haven't examined the witness's pet parrot yet. As the judge, I hereby fucking quit. Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, the game where every client is guilty until proven innocent, every witness is a liar, and everyone falls under 3 categories: gay, lesbian, or evil. If there's one series I've been wanting to play for a while now, it's Ace Attorney. I love Danganronpa, and I've heard that the games are very similar, so I was very eager to check this out. And now, with Danganronpa coming to the Switch this December and me wanting to play a series similar to it, here we are. So, for those unaware, Ace Attorney is, a point-and-click adventure visual novel courtroom drama video game series. Simple. All jokes aside, I'll explain it for real this time. In each game in the original trilogy, there are 4 to 5 cases to play. The cases are split into different days, and the main gameplay section comes out in 2 different sections: an investigation section and a court section. The investigation section has you traveling across different areas, talking to people, showing them evidence, finding evidence in places, and more. Whereas the court section, the most famous part, has you question witnesses, protect your defendants, and watch your enemies have concerning mental breakdowns, which is always the best part. So with that explained, I'd like to get into this review. This will be a 3-part series, with each part covering one of the 3 games in the trilogy, so this review will only cover the first game. This is how the videos will work out. I'll cover each case, explain my opinions on them, and give each of them a rating. After I do that, I'll decide on a final rating for the game. Starting off with, well, the case that started it all, we have the first turnabout. This case stars the iconic Larry Butts, who has been detained for suspected murder. Defending him is his best friend, and also the main character, Phoenix Wright. So, Larry has been suspected of murdering his ex-girlfriend, Cinderblock, and it's up to you to defend him. So, surprisingly, a large amount of people dislike this case, and I honestly don't see it because it's a really good tutorial case. In my opinion, it's what a tutorial case should be. It's short, sweet, showcases mechanics well, has fun characters, and it's the only case without Mia. Well, kind of. Sure, it may be pretty easy and short if you don't like short cases, but at least it's better than the completely unnecessary tutorial case from Game 2, which I'll talk more about when I do the video about that game. Anyway, the real murderer ends up being about 10 feet away from you, and he triggers one of the most hilarious Phoenix sprites in the game. There isn't much else to say about this case, as it's only a tutorial and takes about 20 to 30 minutes to beat, except that it's a really well done tutorial case and gets you hooked. 8 out of 10. Now, here's yet another case that divided fans. I've asked a lot of people what their least favorite case from the first game is, and the response I always seem to get is this one. Why exactly? I don't know for sure, but I can think of a big reason why, which I will get to later. But about my opinions on this case, I think it's pretty good. It introduces the great reoccurring characters we all know and love, such as the super fancy Edgeworth, the super poor Gumshoe, and the, super spirit medium Maya. Oh, and how could we forget Mr. Hemorrhoids over here? Oh, and remember when I was talking about Mia? Did you guys like her? Yeah, well now she's dead. So yeah, Mia's been killed in this case, and her twin sister, Maya, is locked up in prison because she's been suspected of murder. So, in this case, you have to defend her. I wouldn't say this is up there with the best cases in the game, but it's definitely good. You get to defend Maya, one of the best characters in the game, resulting in so much hilarious banter. Yes, it's all good except for how Mia's death played out. This is the part that I believe made people hate the case, and I understand why. It wasn't her death itself that was badly executed, but it was how it was handled later. Maya is a spirit medium, meaning she can channel her sister, Mia, letting her talk to you from the dead. This part bugged me for so long. It felt almost like the creators of the game were like, oops, we shouldn't have killed off Mia, let's keep bringing her back. And when I say keep bringing her back, I really mean it. She comes back as a ghost in almost every single fucking case. You get used to it eventually, but I'll always hold a grudge against this case for introducing the whole thing. Oh, and don't misinterpret what I'm saying here. I do love Mia's character, but it just felt like such a stupid thing, especially when it becomes an ass pull for Phoenix to win. It's just really dumb. However, for me, that doesn't take away from all of the greatness of this case. Apparently, though, it bugged everyone else. Personally, I'd give this case a 7 out of 10. Like I said, people think case 2 is the worst, which they are absolutely wrong about. Let me now introduce Turnabout Samurai. Looking back at the case now, it wasn't horrible, especially compared to some of the cases in game 2. So, in this case, the star of Maya's favorite kids show, and yes, that wasn't a mistake, I literally meant Maya's favorite kids show because, I don't know, for some reason she likes children's shows, has been accused of murdering another actor. So, what does this have to do with the plot? Absolutely fucking nothing, which is the first problem of this case. It would be one thing if you had some filler cases in later games, which, yeah, there are, and they work, but having a filler case right after the first real case of the game? Kind of a stupid move. But that wasn't the only bad thing about this case. There was so much backtracking, it got confusing, it took so long for some of the characters to grow on you, and more. I absolutely despised this case at first, but I have to say, after replaying it, I like it quite a bit more. Here's why. Now that most of the characters have grown on me, replaying it felt really refreshing. Not to mention, there were so many awesome overlooked moments from this case, such as Edgeworth warming up to you more, as well as the love he and Maya have for Steel Samurai. Oh, and also, another huge plus of this case is that it introduces one of my favorite Ace Attorney characters of all time, Penny. Some of you viewers might be going, who? And I don't blame you. See, for some reason, Capcom decided not to make this adorable nerd a reoccurring character. I won't go into full detail about it yet, but there's basically a case in the second game in which basically all of the characters are back. But Penny isn't? Why? Are you telling me we can have fucking old bag back, but not her? Why? I can't say the case is amazing, but it's definitely not as horrible as some people say. Though, to be fair, the fact that I had to replay it to like it really says a lot. Turnabout Samurai gets a 6 out of 10. If you guys really did think Turnabout Samurai was insufferable, then this was the case that probably made it up for you. Turnabout Goodbyes is probably one of the greatest cases in Ace Attorney. Just as you start to like Edgeworth, bam, the game completely surprises you by accusing him of murder. Of course, he isn't actually the one who did it, and you have to defend him. Also, sorry for interrupting my own video, but before I keep going, this is probably one of the most hilarious Maya sprites in the game, but why does the beginning of it, like if you pause it, why does it look so freaky and unnerving? Like, it's actually kind of terrifying. But anyways, sorry for that, back to the video. Now, I wouldn't go as far as to say this is the best case in the series, but it's definitely up there for me. Maybe like the 3rd or 4th best. But it's impossible not to appreciate the genius that went into this case. In case 3, Edgeworth starts becoming a seemingly nicer person, which actually is another underlooked cool part of it, and you kind of start to like him as a character. See where I'm going with this? The game makes you want to defend him. And not only that, but this case throws you for so many left turns. I'm talking literally solving another case within a case left turns. Honestly, I can see virtually no problem with this case, except that it could get a bit confusing sometimes. But the fact that Larry's back makes up for it. Oh, and also, if anyone in the comments says one of the problems of the case was Lotta being a bad character, I'm breaking every one of y'all's kneecaps. And yeah, maybe all of that stuff is great, but the best part was probably... yeah, there is actually no way people think this guy is straight. Case 4 gets a perfect 10 out of 10. Oh, and also, this part in the end credits of the case actually made me ship Maya and Penny for a while, and I still kinda do ship them, but I also ship Maya and Francisca, and it's a whole thing, and it's so hard for me to decide, and I know this ship probably has like no fan base at all, but I don't fucking care. Well, that's all of the cases in Game 1 of Ace Attorney. Thank you all for watching.
Hold it!
Oh, you thought it was over? Ha, far from it. Case 5 may be the last case in the game, but it's 7 hours and 30 minutes long. According to this walkthrough at least. It probably took my dumbass double that amount of time to beat this case. Anyways, aside from case 4, I'd consider this to be the greatest case in the game. Phoenix Wright is back, and this time he has to defend Lana, alongside his new temporary assistant, Emma. So here's the thing, Maya is temporarily gone because she, went to go eat burgers or something. I don't know, her burger trips probably last like a month or something. Anyways, it takes some getting used to, but Emma's a great character. Just like the last case, this game has so many awesome twists. Blackmail, unsolved cases, secrets, framing, and even more. It's almost the perfect case. I mean, come on, it even has really cool 3D puzzles. But there are some problems. First of all, it is so long. Like, I do enjoy the long cases, but this is the longest one, and on the last trial, I just kind of felt like, can we please finish this already? And second of all, here's the thing. The Ace Attorney series originally came out for the Game Boy in Japan, and this case didn't exist yet. It came into existence when the game was ported to the DS, hence the 3D stuff, meaning since this case came out after the trilogy had already been completed, this meant we would never see any of these characters again, and same with the 3D puzzles. This was kind of sad since I loved basically all of the characters introduced, except you, as well as all of the 3D puzzles, except you. Oh my god. It was even worse when the case coming after this, the first case of Game 2, was really bad. But luckily, these are the only bad things about the case. Case 5, the fifth and final case of the original Ace Attorney, gets a 9 out of 10. So, now I've discussed all I want to about the singular cases, but what about the game in terms of writing, characters, art, and music? Starting off with the writing, I cannot express how much I love it. It's a perfect blend of seriousness and comedy. In one part, you could be laughing because of a character's hilarious antics, and in the next, you could be on the edge of your seat because of all the suspense and drama. It may seem like a basic compliment to give a writing style, but it's seriously really hard to do that. Not to mention, Ace Attorney has such a fun and unique style of comedy, and I never get tired of it. But a story-driven game can't be good without awesome characters, and Ace Attorney has just that. No, seriously, there are too many characters to count. I'm not even joking. Anyways, in the first Ace Attorney game, I loved basically every character, except for the ones you were meant to hate. But I think, and this is just my opinion, that the characters aren't complete without their fun animations. Which brings me right to my next topic, the art in the game. Now, I played the 3 games through the Switch Trilogy version, meaning I had updated graphics. These ones, luckily, are great. Even the original DS port graphics hold up well, which is a huge plus. I don't even want to know what the original Game Boy graphics looked like. Now, one problem with the graphics in this game is that the art style bugged me a bit at first. don't worry, it grows on you shortly. But I don't know, I was just kind of weirded out by the lack of bold outlines on the drawings. I guess it's just different from my art style, I guess. But the resolution and art style or whatever aren't even the most important components here. What is most important are the hilariously stupid animations. Like I had been saying earlier, these animations help further express what type of character you're dealing with, but also they keep you entertained while you're reading the text, and even help make moments funnier. Alongside the hilarious writing style, of course. And finally, the last component I would like to look at is the music. Okay, real talk. This might be one of the best OSTs in video game history. I don't think any one of the songs here ever got old for me, and almost each one was so memorable. I didn't think it was possible for such a simply made soundtrack to rival those of AAA games, but, well, here we are. So now I've said basically all I wanted to about the game, and I gave each of them a rating out of 10, so now it's time for the final rating. I'd give Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, the first game in the Ace Attorney series, an 8 or 9 out of 10. It's kind of hard to decide, since, you know, some of the cases are really great, and some of them do tend to have poor moments, especially since this is Shu Takumi's first Ace Attorney game, and he's struggling with his writing style. But I thought it was really good. A lot of the cases, like I said, definitely do not deserve as much hate as they get. And yeah, I think that's about it. Time to wrap up this, I was about to say short, but it was probably really long, wasn't it? Anyways, time to wrap up this long video. Thank you guys so much for sticking around and watching, and for just sticking around with the channel in general. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next video. Have a great day, bye. Hey everyone, once again thank you so much for watching, and I hope you're looking forward to the new video that'll come out next month. And just a heads up, that video will be part 2 of the update video that I did a few months ago. And also, here's a reminder, all of the gameplay clips and music used do not belong to me. All of the gameplay clips used belong to a YouTuber named Lackery or Lakery or something. So go check out their channel with the link in the description below. They're a very good gameplay channel, help my dumbass through the cases that I couldn't figure out. Yeah. So once again, thanks for watching. Secret scene coming up. Ah! No, please. Stop. I can't take this music and this puzzle much longer. Ah! Wow, that second case was so good. I hope this third case is even better.
Hold it! Objection!
Ugh, that's weird. Well, at least my defendant isn't a pedo, so I don't feel guilty about defending him. Who the fuck wrote this case? Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing great. Today, I'll be reviewing Ace Attorney and Justice for All. Wait, no, sorry. Ace Attorney, Justice for All, sorry. I read the name and immediately assume it's the Metallica album. Like, yeah, it's also a line from the Pledge of Allegiance or whatever, but who the fuck cares? Anyways, the video I did on the first game actually performed pretty decently for one of my videos, so I decided I might as well go and make the second one now. I was planning to do a Justice for All review video anyways, but now that my video on the original game's gotten a lot of views, I feel more motivated to do it. This video will play out very similarly to the first one, where I'll talk about the cases, then the art, music, etc., and then I'll give my final verdict on the game. I don't actually know whether or not this video will be longer than the first one, which was a long video, because, I mean, on one hand, there are less cases, which would usually mean there's less to talk about, but I have a lot to say about this game. So without further ado, let's get started. Here's my review of Ace Attorney Game 2. Better than the completely unnecessary tutorial case from Game 2, especially compared to some of the cases in Game 2. It was even worse when the case coming after this, the first case of Game 2, was really bad. Yeah. Before anyone starts calling me out for being too harsh on this case, there's a good reason as to why I hate it so much, and why other people do as well. Like I said in my last video, the tutorial case in the first Ace Attorney game worked well because it introduced all of the mechanics and the main character. So why wouldn't a tutorial case work for the second game? Because the game mechanics are almost exactly the same and don't need a reintroduction. Sure, there are new mechanics such as being able to present people's profiles as evidence, but these could easily just be taught to you in a regular case. A prime example of this is case 2 of this game, which I'll talk about later, which introduces the Magatama or whatever mechanic through the story. Wait, how do you even pronounce it? And you might be thinking, yeah, maybe a tutorial case wasn't exactly needed, but it's fine, right? Actually, wrong for a couple of reasons. First of all, unlike the first game, this game only consists of 4 cases instead of 5. This includes a tutorial case, meaning that after you finish the tutorial case, you only have 3 regular cases to play. Second of all, this case is double the length of the tutorial case in Game 1, standing at a full hour of tutorial as opposed to the 20 minutes of the Game 1 tutorial case. And finally, the case itself sucked. I think the only positive things about it are that it introduces Maggie Bird, who is a great character, and still has the great writing style of Ace Attorney. However, this is pretty much where the good things stop. So you may be wondering, how exactly did they manage the plot in this tutorial case? Answer is that they didn't. See, with the first case, the plot worked because it was Phoenix's first case and he needed to learn the basics. But with this case, Phoenix gets knocked out and gets amnesia. No, I'm not kidding. The highly anticipated second game of Ace Attorney starts out with a fucking amnesia subplot. The entirety of the case, aside from the jokes, is so fucking unbearable just because of how stupid they made Phoenix after getting hit over the head. I mean, I guess someone having amnesia wouldn't remember things, but why is there amnesia in this game in the first place? And also, something else that is stupid is that the culprit is so obviously the killer, and nobody picks up on it. So in conclusion, the first case of Game 2 is an unnecessary and stupid case because of it being unnecessarily long, having a horrible plot, and of course, having an annoying culprit. This mess of a case cannot be saved from any amount of large bananas and gets a 4 out of 10 from me. When I said I had a lot to say about this game, I meant it because I have some strong opinions about it, as you've heard so far. One of these strong opinions I have is one that is commonly shared throughout the Ace Attorney community. Game 2 is extremely uneven in terms of quality. Like I said during my, fit of rage, the first case was atrocious. This case, on the other hand, is absolutely perfect. The only bad thing I can think about when I think of this case is that it's extremely underrated. I think I'd go as far as to say that this is my 3rd favorite Ace Attorney case of all time, but I know not everyone would agree. This story follows our beloved titular character, Phoenix Wright, who goes to visit Maya in Karain Village, where she's training to be a spirit medium. Maya, at the request of a doctor named Turner Gray, attempts to channel one of his former employees, who died shortly after causing a horrible accident in his clinic. However, since this is Ace Attorney we're talking about, this goes horribly wrong, and the aforementioned dead nurse possesses Maya and kills Dr. Gray. This is one of my favorite cases in the game because it's so unique and different from the other cases. Maya is obviously the suspect here, and this time, it would actually look like it was her from the perspective of someone who didn't know about spirit channeling. This makes it tougher to prove her innocent, which makes for some really interesting moments. And the greatness doesn't even stop there. Like I had said earlier, the Magatama mechanic is introduced in this case, allowing you to tell when people are lying and prove that they are. This was maybe my favorite mechanic that ever got introduced in the series, and it was so fun to try it out for the first time in this case. And that is not even the extent. Maya's little cousin Pearl, who gives you the Majitama, is also introduced in this case, and she's literally so adorable. I love the dynamic between her and Phoenix, where Phoenix is essentially like a dad or babysitter to her. The popular Franziska von Karma gets introduced too, and she's a super cool prosecutor. I don't know if you guys think I like Franziska or not. Yeah, are you guys able to tell? And I won't spoil the ending, not because I'm afraid to spoil things, obviously, since I had that warning at the beginning, like literally in the first scene of the video, but because if I spoiled it, I'd be talking for longer than I already am. But let me just say, it's a huge twist and it is amazing. And I promise this is the last thing I'll talk about in this case. I'll move on to the next section in a bit, but I cannot believe I went this long without mentioning Eeny Meeny. Like, she is literally so amazing. I love her character so much. It's sad that she was not a reoccurring character. Huh, alright. I wonder when we'll find someone hiding a secret. Wow, even without putting that clip on 2x speed, it only took like 30 seconds to find somebody who was lying. This case truly is amazing and gives us details about how cruel this world is and how everyone in it is a scumbag liar. Or Eeny Meeny's just really stupid. I think it might be that, actually. Case 2 of Game 2 gets a 10 out of 10. Okay, this part of Case 2 is, like, really emotional, but, is anyone gonna mention... No? Okay, alright. Turnabout Big Top! Fun fact, this is the case I was making fun of in the intro skit. Not so fun fact, the case sucks. Yeah, it's actually really bad. Yeah. I honestly cannot believe that, looking back, I thought the Lost Turnabout was the worst case in the game, because at least that one was somewhat short. Turnabout Big Top is a 4-hour-long disaster that just gets progressively worse. In this case, you have to defend Max Galactica, a circus performer accused of murdering the ringleader. Aside from the fact that this has literally nothing to do with the plot, nothing seems really wrong with the case until you actually play it. Every single character is annoying except for Regina and Acro up until the very end. The game literally penalizes you for no reason at one point. There are so many contradictions and plot holes, the case gets overly complicated and soon starts making no sense, and it drags on for way too long. There are also some character-specific problems. Your defendant, Max Galactica, and Ben Trilo, one of the witnesses, are two fully grown adults crushing on a 16-year-old girl. Ben was already annoying, so this just kinda makes you hate him even more, but Max is your fucking defendant. You're supposed to like him. And also, this isn't a character personality thing, but Acro's character design is a pretty stereotypical and somewhat racist depiction of a certain race. And the fact that he ends up being the murderer doesn't exactly help the game's case either. So, as you can see, I absolutely hate this case, and it is my least favorite one. Not just in this game, but also in the entire Ace Attorney series. But does it have any saving grace? Well, Regina's theme is pretty catchy. She's one of the only good characters in the case. The writing, for the most part, is really good. For example, the banter between Maya and Phoenix. And Max Galactica may be a horrible character and person, but he has a cool magic trick he can do, I guess. Look, now he's gay, and now he's homophobic. Wait, you guys do realize that I'm bi and can literally make these jokes, right? Have you not been paying attention to, anything I have, ever said? However, that is where the good things stop. Turnabout Big Top, more like Turnabout Big Flop. Right, guys? Right? I'm really funny, I promise. Case 3 is not a clown, it's the entire circus. 3 out of 10. This is the fourth and final case of Ace Attorney Justice for All, and no, I am telling the truth, I'm not gonna pull the same trick I did last time. But this case, oh my god, it is so fucking perfect. I really cannot express how much I love it, except by saying that it's my second favorite case in any Ace Attorney game. So, in this case, an actor named Matt Ungard gets accused of murdering fellow actor Juan Corrida, who star in the popular children's shows The Nickel Samurai and Jammin' Ninja, respectively. It's up to you to defend Matt. Also, say, doesn't this case sound familiar somehow? Like perhaps another case where you have to defend an actor from a samurai-related children's show? Yeah, sometimes I like to jokingly call this case Turnabout Samurai 2, but trust me, these cases are not similar at all. First of all, this case is like 100 times better, but second of all, well, you'll see why this case is much different in a minute. The case starts out with Phoenix, Maya, Pearl, and Will Powers of Steel Samurai fame all eating a fancy dinner at a nice hotel. They're all here because of a special event for the Nickel Samurai and Jammin' Ninja shows. Well, probably not all of them. Maya probably forced them to go. Speaking of Maya, after eating, she makes them all go to the place where they're holding the announcement. Here, you'll also meet Oldbag from the Steel Samurai case, who is a security guard who unpolitely tells you to screw off. Now, if you're like me, you probably noticed first thing that there's a major lack of people named Penny Nichols in this case, but I'll let it slide, I guess. However, if you're mentally sane and not attached to some random NPC named Penny Nichols, then you probably did not notice that firsthand, or you just didn't notice it at all, which is also perfectly understandable. Anyways, Maya leaves after one of the hotel staff tells her that there's a call waiting for her at the front desk. This leaves you to explore the place. Eventually, you'll find Detective Gumshoe and Lotta from Case 4. Upon your arrival, Gumshoe accidentally tells you about how somebody was murdered. Juan Corrida, the Jammin' Ninja star. Oh, and also Matt has been arrested for suspected murder. From here on out, it's up to you to solve the case. After hearing that explanation, you'd probably think, it seems like a pretty basic case, right? How is it deserving out of a 10 out of 10? Well, here's why. Remember when I said that Maya was taken to the front desk to call someone? Well, turns out that she's been kidnapped by the person posing as a member of the hotel's staff, and he will only return her if Matt Ungard gets a perfect acquittal and is proven not guilty of all charges. The stakes are already really high here, and they make you want to solve this case and get Maya home. At least, you want to defend your client until... he has a scar? Okay. Oh my god, he has poop water. Yep, this guy's evil. He's definitely the murderer. So as it turns out, there's a major plot twist. Matt really is the person who planned the murder. He hired the kidnapper as an assassin to kill Juan Corrida and kidnap Maya, to both get away with murder and to blackmail you in the process. Just as you thought the stakes couldn't get any higher, now you're being forced to prove a guilty man innocent in order to save someone who's like a sister to you. And I haven't even scratched the bottom of the barrel here about things that are so great about this case. Everything leading up to that one big plot twist is so great. For example, the first time you see Maya's kidnapper disguised as the bellboy, you know something's really suspicious about him. And then when the moment hits where he actually kidnaps Maya, it's just a fucking insane feeling. Another example is when you use the Majatama for the first time in this case. You use it on Matt Ungard himself to see if he's really the killer or not, and when he says he is not, it doesn't show any psych-locks, meaning that he isn't lying. This gives you a false sense of security, like, oh yeah, so he's not the killer, this is going to be a safe case. Well, not really, because like I said, he's actually the killer, but he's also technically not lying, as he hired someone to do the killing, but he's the one that planned everything. The case also makes you feel so much genuine fear, too. Like, the first time you see that weird, creepy wine cellar place with the unknown date, time, and location, it's just really unnerving for no reason. And then when the killer appears out of nowhere with that creepy sprite of his, just makes you feel awful for Maya. I swear, every segment where you got to play as Maya and just explore around just gave me such a feeling of unease. Like this one segment where she's just literally walking around and then the killer just appears out of nowhere and you don't know what he does to her. Like, it's fucking terrifying. And also, pay attention to this room because it's going to be important for later. But the scariest parts of the case for me will always be those moments of sudden realization. Like, I mean, yeah, it's scary when the killer just suddenly appears in Matt and Guard's house, which also is kind of foreshadowing, if you remember what I was saying earlier. But what was even fucking scarier for me was when I actually looked at the room and I was like, wait, that's the fucking door. That's the fucking door we saw earlier. Holy shit. Telling you guys, it's moments like these that are just scarier in the actual game. Like, the fucking music cuts out and it feels like a horror game. I'm telling you, this case is so good at making you feel things. It's so perfect. Anyways, I'm sorry. I've talked about this case for way too long. I'll stop. Oh, and by the way, I did the whole video without mentioning the whole Edgeworth subplot thing. Whoops. It's not too important, really. Phoenix just essentially thinks that his boyfriend killed himself, but then he's like, surprise, I'm back, let's go on a dinner date, the end. Farewell My Turnabout is one of the most dark and intense Ace Attorney cases ever created, and, in my opinion, gets a 10 out of 10. So, now that I've talked about all of the cases, do you understand what I mean when I say this game is extremely unbalanced in terms of quality? We went from an awful case to a perfect one, to a case even worse than the first, to yet another even more perfect one. It's weird having your second and third favorite Ace Attorney cases being from, in my opinion, the worst game in the series. Not that it's bad. But now, let's talk about the art, music, and other non-story related qualities of the game. The art and music in this game are both great, just like with the first game. The new music is just as memorable as it was in the first game, and the returning songs that were in the first game still hold up greatly as well. However, admittedly, there isn't much else to add here. As I said in the first video, I played these games through the Switch Trilogy, meaning that everything has been remastered in the same way, and there aren't any new changes to the art and most of the music. And so with that, I think it's safe to conclude the video. Ace Attorney Justice for All is one of the most curious games I've ever played. I mean, you have two of the best cases ever, and then two of the worst ones ever. Still though, I feel like the good really outweighs the bad here, and I have a soft spot for this game. So personally, I would give Ace Attorney Justice for All a 7 out of 10. And so with all that said, thank you so much for watching, and thanks for sticking around for the whole video if you did. I mean, if you did, then you're still watching, so thank you. Unless you scooped ahead. See you on the next one. Hey everyone, once again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a good day and you also like this video. Here's a reminder, all of the gameplay clips that I use in this video belong to a YouTuber named Lackery, I think. So go check out their channel. They're an extremely good gameplay channel, and the link to it will be in the description. And then also, I hope you're looking forward to the video coming out next month. It won't be an Ace Attorney video. That'll be coming out in January. The December video will be the second part, the 2021 version of the Anime in Years series. So I hope you're looking forward to that. So once again, thank you so much for watching, and have a good one. Who wants to tell her? Everyone thought it would never happen. Everyone thought it was impossible, but they were wrong. I've done the unthinkable. Yes, that's right, everyone. I've officially successfully completed a series I was doing. Sorry, anime ears. Maybe next time, Hunter x Hunter review series. Everyone, here's my review of the third and final game in the Aceattorney Trilogy. And, here it is. I made the video. I don't know how to finish this intro script. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having a great day. So yeah, as you all probably know, this was supposed to be my February video, but I released my first music review video at the start of the year instead. But don't worry, my final Aceattorney Trilogy video is out now. Like I said, it was mainly delayed to this month because of the music review, but it was also because I was still editing up, just sprucing up the script and finalizing some plans for the video, because I just want this to turn out as good as possible because I want to end off this trilogy well. But yes, this will be my third and final video reviewing the Aceattorney Trilogy. This time we're covering the final game in that series, Aceattorney Trials and Tribulations. This is not only my favorite game out of the trilogy, it's also one of my new favorite games of all time. And so this video is bound to be even longer than the last one. This video will play out in the same way as the last one, where I talk about all the cases in the game, then categories like art and music before giving my final rating. However, this time I will not just be giving this game a rating, I'll also be giving a rating to the entire trilogy as a whole. So without further ado, let's get started. Here's the third and final review of Aceattorney Trilogy. Okay, so there's this defense attorney, and she's so fine. Starting off, we have the first case of Game 3, Turnabout Memories. Some of you may have heard me say that and thought, wait, why am I referring suddenly to the beginning case as a first case instead of a tutorial? Well, that's because it would be completely unfair to just disregard this case as a tutorial one. Out of the 3 tutorial cases in Aceattorney, this one is by far the best. However, this isn't just my favorite tutorial case, it's also one of my favorite cases in Aceattorney in general. This case, which takes place in the past, puts us in the shoes of Maya's older sister, Mia, long before her tragic death. In fact, it's her second case being covered here. I remember being pleasantly surprised by 2 things right then and there. First of all, we were going to play as fucking Mia Fey, and second of all, the tutorial case was already shaping up to be so much better than the second one because it didn't rely on an amnesia subplot, and it actually made sense as a tutorial case, because in a simple manner to the first case of Aceattorney, this was someone's first trial. Or, well, second, but you know. But the greatness doesn't stop there, as we go on to find out that Phoenix is the fucking defendant, and Mr. Hemorrhoids, sorry, I forgot his actual name, is the defense counsel, and Payne with the weirdest haircut ever is the prosecutor. Okay, I know this is a lot to take in, so I'll do a quick recap. We are playing as Mia, who is defending in her second case alongside Mr. Hemorrhoids, and in this case she's defending Phoenix, who's in college right now and was accused of murder. And finally, the prosecutor is Payne. Now let me get into the specifics of the case itself. Phoenix has been accused of murdering his current girlfriend's ex, Doug Swallow. This confirms 2 things, the identity of the victim, and that Phoenix is apparently bi, as he used to have a girlfriend before the whole Edgeworth thing. Oh, and in this case, Phoenix is kind of a loser. Yeah, he's a bit stupid in this case, and he's also a bit too obsessed with his girlfriend. As Mia, you have to defend Phoenix from these accusations and prove him not guilty. However, something seems to have Mia nervous about the case, but we don't know what it is, yet at least. This case is one of my favorites because it's everything a good Aceattorney case should be: interesting, well-written, funny, and dramatic. Even though it's just an hour and a half long, the case manages to pack so much content into what little time it has. It's also the best tutorial case because it's not only good, it's also very, very relevant to the plot, which I'll get to later, But let me just say now that this case introduces one of the most interesting and evil Ace Attorney characters ever, Dahlia Hawthorne, Phoenix's ex-girlfriend. Speaking of her, the case results in her being proven guilty, and Phoenix not guilty, of course, but she menacingly tells Mia that they will meet again one day. So, in conclusion, this case is a perfect one because of the many reasons I listed before, but also because it gives us some insight on a very underrated character who died way too early, Mia Fey. Turnabout Memories gets a perfect 10 out of 10. Moving on, we have the Stolen Turnabout, which takes us back to the present and puts us back in the point of view of Phoenix, who, surprise surprise, is dealing with yet another crazy case. This one is super cool and a lot different from the other cases because instead of it just being a regular murder case, we're dealing with a robbery here. But before we get into all of that, let's talk about what's going on with our beloved main characters. Maya and Pearl are excited to go to the Treasures of Karain exhibit, an event being hosted to display the many famous treasures of Karain Village, and Phoenix is enjoying cleaning the office toilet. Yeah, anyways, the Treasures of Karain. Our main cast goes to the exhibit, and there we find Adrian Andrews. Remember her from the last case of Game 2? You know, that one that I obsessed about? Well, Adrian is back, and this time she's just as concerningly unstable as ever. I genuinely feel horrible for her. And you start to feel even more horrible for her when you find out that the event has, in fact, been robbed. That's right, in typical Ace Attorney fashion, something goes horribly wrong. In this case, the sacred urn being stolen by the infamous robber, Mask Star Damask, or however the fuck you pronounce his name. One thing I really did like about this case was how they developed Adrian Andrews' character. It was revealed at the end of the second game that she was getting better thanks to Franziska, who was training her to help become a stronger and less traumatized person. However, it still is really clear to see that last case had such an impact on her, and it really makes me feel bad, even though obviously she's fictional. This is sadly clear to see in this case, as although she appears to be holding up fine, she freaks out at the smallest things. In my opinion, Adrian is an extremely underrated character and is such a well-written one as well. Also, speaking of Adrian, did I seriously forget to mention her in my last video? If so, then I'm really pissed at myself for that. Anyways, the police believe that they found the robber and you're sent to the detention center to question him. And when you visit the prison cell, you meet this absolute twink. Okay, you have to hear me out. Not only is he a twink, he's also mentally deranged. Right? Isn't that what everyone loves? Anyways, his name's Ron Delight, and he's convinced he's the robber, mentally ill, even though he is not. It's up to you to defend him. And you may be asking, how exactly do you know he's not the real robber? Well, it's because, she told us. And you know what they say, always trust a hot person. Oh, and we also know because, come on, there's no way this dude robbed a fucking museum. Oh, and also, this dude is suspicious as fuck. So, obviously, the actual culprit ends up being Luke Atme, Look at me, who was pretending to be a detective, but he had actually stolen the urn. However, the case is not over, as Ron has now been accused of murder. And here's where I'll pause on talking about the plot for a second. Overall, I consider this case to be a pretty damn good one and one of the overall best cases in this trilogy. However, here's the part where I kind of had a few problems with it. I originally thought that this case was super great because of how unique it was, with it not being a murder case and everything, so this obviously kind of ruined the appeal of it for me. It also kind of felt like the developers like, oh shit, this case is too short, let's just accuse Ron of murder now. However, this doesn't completely ruin the case. In fact, it's not even too huge of a deal, and the case is still extremely enjoyable. It's also the first case to feature Prosecutor Godot, who is a very, very important reoccurring character we'll talk more about later. But of course, in the end, the good guys win. Aside from a few minor gripes I had, the case is still extremely good and gets a 9 out of 10. There's also a Led Zeppelin reference in this case, more specifically, a reference to their song Kashmir, so yeah. I'd want to give it bonus points, but that would be unfair, but let me just say it's awesome. All I see turns to brown. as the sun burns the ground. Wow, I'm not even on case 3 yet, and I'm already singing. I'm probably scaring off a lot of new viewers, but I'm sure my returning viewers aren't surprised. Oh well. Trying to find where I'll be.
Oh no, you tripped on the dildos!
Now let's talk about a case that gets a lot more hate than it deserves. I do believe I mentioned the so-called Case 3 syndrome in my first Ace Attorney video. Well, this is the only third case in the Ace Attorney trilogy that, in my opinion, does not fall victim to it. Case 3 from Game 1, Turnabout Samurai, was okay. Case 3 from Game 2 was... Turnabout Big Top is a 4-hour-long disaster that just gets progressively worse. Just so good that I don't want to talk about it ever again and never will, but this case is actually pretty damn good. Sure, it may have had absolutely nothing to do with the plot. Sure, it may have been a bit fanservice-y. Sure, it may have had a walking gay stereotype. Sure, it might have included a scene where Maya channeled Mia to seduce an old guy. Wait, no, I'm not letting that one slide. What the fuck am I talking about? That scene was fucking weird. Anyways, aside from those problems, which are very minor by the way, aside from the last one, are overshadowed by what is actually a pretty fun case. So in this case, Maggie Bird is back, and she's, been arrested, again. But she's back, and I'm super happy about that. Anyways, she was arrested because it was believed that she killed one of the customers at the new restaurant she works at, so it's up to you to defend her. However, there is a twist here, as apparently this is Maggie's retrial. What happened in her first one exactly? Well, apparently there is someone out there impersonating Phoenix, and whoever that person was did Maggie's trial. So I guess I should rephrase what I said earlier. It's up to you to defend Maggie for real. Anyways, a lot of stuff involving the restaurant, a weird computer place with robot people, a mafia business, and a character with enough trauma to rival Adrian Andrews happens, and surprise surprise, the Phoenix impersonator was actually the murderer. So, I'll wrap up talking about this case in a bit, but I just want to say it's understandable why a lot of people dislike how this case played out. It was very obvious who the killer was, and some of the stuff in it was pretty damn questionable. However, I think it's good at what it does. It's a simple Ace Attorney case with nothing except for one important detail involving Goda relevant to the ever-growing plot, and an enjoyable cast of characters for the most part. So, in conclusion, it's a nice and easy breather before the next two cases come in and hit you like a truck. So, yeah, this case is overhated in my opinion, and I believe that's a filler case done right, something rare in Ace Attorney. 9 out of 10. Now, let's stop talking about Toilet Boy for a second here and get back to our girl Mia. Yes, that's right, we have not one, but two cases in this game that feature Mia. If you guys couldn't tell yet, I'm a bit obsessed with Mia. So instead of covering her second case in this case, we're traveling a whole year back from when that case was, to the distant future of 2013, where Mia is having her debut appearance in court. So you guys, I don't know, might remember me talking about how amazed I was at the first case of this game. However, this case amazed me even more. So, an interesting thing about this case is that, like in the first one, it's about the length of a tutorial case, standing at around 1 hour and 30 minutes in length. However, things are a bit different this time. Instead of Winston Payne as the prosecutor, Edgeworth, who was 20 at the time if I remember correctly, is prosecuting this case, and wow, I can really see why Phoenix wants to get into law school after seeing him like this. The defense counsel situation is different this time too, as Mr. Hemorrhoids has been replaced by Mia's boyfriend at the time, Diego Armando. And say, doesn't he look familiar somehow? Like, I don't know, someone we've seen before in this game maybe? No, I'm probably just imagining things. Anyways, he's... yeah.
Not here, Kitten Whiskers. Danny will discuss it later.
Anyways, remember when I was saying that Mia was nervous for her second case because of a reason we didn't know yet? Well, this case is why she was nervous, and it's easy to see why. It's an intense fucking case, even with it being just under 2 hours long. When I say it's intense, I mean it's intense. Your defendant is an escaped death row convict. The witness is fucking Dahlia Hawthorne, Melissa Foster. Yeah, if you couldn't tell already, this game really liked horribly disguising characters. The person who was killed, Dahlia's older sister, Valerie Hawthorne. I won't get into the specifics of the case, which would take a very long time to explain, something surprising and impressive for such a short case, but holy shit. If you thought that last case from Game 2 had high stakes, this one is just mind-blowing. Just as you thought the stakes couldn't get any higher, now you're being forced to prove a guilty man innocent. Wait, shit, I already said something like that in my last video. Just cut this out, cut this segment out. A story involving lies, shocking events from previous cases, and manipulation plays out. You know how in case 1 of this game, Dahlia essentially manipulated Phoenix to keep him from proving her guilty? Obviously, it didn't work in that case, but in this case, it sure as hell did. Terry and Dahlia apparently had some, weird relationship I just really don't want to think about, but their friendship was so messed up that Dahlia had a bottle of poison put into a temple that either one of them would go and get if they ever stopped trusting each other. Any normal person who heard her say this would probably stay as far away from her as possible, but I mean, it's Ace Attorney. These characters aren't normal. However, it turns out that before the case, Terry had drank the poison before going into court. So, how does the case end exactly? With Terry dying in the witness stand. This was by far one of the most shocking endings in an Ace Attorney case. The suicide, of course, was crazy for a T-rated game, but the aftermath of the case was crazy as well. Due to the defendant's sudden death, the judge is unable to give a verdict, and the trial ends there. Mia and Edgeworth are both traumatized, Terry's dead, and Melissa, I guess, is the only one walking away happily, having gotten away with manipulation and murder. One of the most powerful and shocking Ace Attorney cases, especially for a case not even 2 hours long. This one is really impressive and has a lot of replay value. 10 out of 10. And now we have the 5th and final case of Game 3, as well as the 14th and final case of the original Ace Attorney trilogy, Bridge to the Turnabout. Now, you've heard me talk about both my 3rd and 2nd favorite Ace Attorney cases in the previous video, and you might be wondering, what's my overall favorite case? Without any question, it's definitely this one. Oh, and I'm just gonna state the obvious spoiler, this case is a 10 out of 10. I'm even tempted to give this an 11 out of 10, but I mean, that rating kind of doesn't exist, so yeah. Now, Ace Attorney has introduced a lot of different plot lines, and for the most part, they've managed to stay somewhat connected. With this being the conclusion case, it would be fair to expect it to wrap up the plot in a decent enough way. So, does this case do that? No, it wraps it up perfectly. So in this case, Phoenix, Pearl, and Maya travel to a place called Hazakura Temple, because according to Maya and Pearl, there's some special spirit channeling course thingy being offered there. And of course, Phoenix has to go, because that's just how things work, I guess. And when they get there, they discover that it's absolutely freezing cold and snowy there, which makes you think, how the hell did Maya and Pearl convince Phoenix to go with them? Well, it turns out Phoenix recognized a familiar face on the magazine that the ad was in, and decided to go with them. Upon their arrival, they meet the workers at the temple, a book author named Elise, the assistant nun / strikingly familiar Iris, and the head nun Bikini. No, that wasn't a mistake I made while writing this script. Her name is literally Bikini. Oh, and also, Larry's back. Everyone say hi. After they all eat dinner together, Maya leaves to go do her spirit channeling thingy, Pearl goes to read a book with Elise, and the rest of them go to bed. However, Phoenix wakes up later that night noticing that Pearl is missing and goes to ask the other people in the temple if they've seen her. Elise tells him that Pearl never actually came to read with her and that she was wondering the same thing. He later encounters Iris, who tells him that she hasn't seen her either. However, during this exchange, she says Phoenix's name, which he never told her. Phoenix, confused, tries to ask her a few questions about who she is, but she gives him head. Wait, no, I'm sorry, I meant to say your hood. She tells him that this hood will help protect him from evil spirits and keep him safe. However, she must have accidentally given him the bad luck hood, as he later finds a dead body and falls off of a burning bridge. Yep, not even Karain Village is safe from elaborate murders. Okay, so the full story is that Phoenix went back to bed after he got the hood, when he woke up again because of someone screaming. That someone screaming was Elise, who he finds dead from being stabbed by a fucking statue. While in panic, he accidentally steps on Bikini, who had fainted on the floor. She urgently tells him to call the cops, so he runs up to Dusky Bridge to use the phone there. However, he finds out that Dusky Bridge is on fire, so he tells Larry to call the police instead. Oh, yeah, because Larry's here for some reason. And Phoenix runs across the bridge in an attempt to save Maya. However, him running across the bridge was just an attempt as well, as the bridge collapses and he falls to his death in the Eagle River, where it is said that no one is able to be found. And thus ends the story of Phoenix Wright. It was an eventful one, it was an emotional one, and it sure was a funny one. It also lasted a good 75 hours as I struggled to be halfway decent at the game and punched my Switch 522 times. Goodbye, Phoenix Wright, you will be missed. No, I'm not doing it this time. I'm not doing it ever again. He's not even dead, you guys. He, did fall off that bridge, though, and now he's in the hospital. So, you may be thinking, how will Phoenix defend Iris, who, is the accused, by the way, I forgot to mention that, from his hospital bed? I mean, he could do a Zoom call or something, I guess, but this game was made in, 2004 or something. I guess the distant future of 2017 in this game isn't so distant after all. But that's the thing, he can't defend Iris, so his beloved Edgeworth steps in to be a defense attorney. And when I mean steps in, I mean gets a call from Larry saying that Phoenix is hurt and charters a private jet to get back from vacation overseas to make sure he's okay. This man is not straight, guys, give it up. Before visiting Iris in the detention center though, he stops to get Phoenix's badge from him in his hospital bed. Edgeworth then heads to the detention center to meet Iris, and this is where all of the courtroom drama starts. Okay, so here's the thing. There is a lot to cover here. I could honestly make a full video just talking about this one case, really. So I don't think I'll be able to cover all of the crazy twists and plot points. So if your favorite part from this case doesn't get mentioned, it's not because I don't like it, it's just because I don't want to make this video an hour long. Anyways, during the first trial, Edgeworth reveals with evidence that the murder may have actually taken place somewhere outside of the Inner Temple due to curious signs of a snowmobile. So the court is suspended for the day, and we are then put back into the shoes of Phoenix. During the second day of investigation, now in the hands of Phoenix as I previously stated, we find out some crazy stuff. Elise was actually Misty Faye, Maya's mom and Pearl's aunt. Pearl snuck out to go with Maya, and ended up getting stuck on the other side of the bridge at the Inner Temple, but out in the cold, which is pretty fucking terrifying for an 8-year-old when you think about it. Anyways, after seeing Franziska get roasted by a child, we head over to the Inner Temple, where it is believed that Maya is stuck in. We also meet Godot, who reveals many important pieces of information. Number 1, he has that visor thing because his sight was harmed, meaning that he can't see the color red. Number 2, he has it because without it, he can't see. And finally, number 3, Phoenix just generally pisses him the fuck off, which, we already kind of knew. Anyways, he also takes over as the chief prosecutor of the case, leaving Von Karma pissed. She still, however, helps you with the investigation. It proceeds normally enough, with the two finding the entrance to the Inner Temple blocked by a trick lock, which apparently only Iris can unlock. Iris is then sent with Edgeworth to unlock it. However, this is the last thing that happens before an earthquake strikes. And that was Ace Attorney. These characters were all so interesting in their own rights, and of course the cases barring a few, were superb, and the overarching story was honestly just stellar. I'll really miss this series, and I guess the last thing I really can say is, rest in peace, Phoenix Wright & Co. Nah, I'm just kidding. Post-earthquake events, Phoenix rushes to his boyfriend's safety, aware of his childhood trauma of earthquakes. He admits that Iris escaped because he passed out from fear, so we set out to find her. When we do, we now see 5 trick locks in the inner temple, which according to her, she cannot open. She further explains this by saying that each trick lock was set so it could be opened in hundreds of different ways, meaning that it could take hours to open just one. So Iris works on this while in the meantime we try finding more evidence. And that we do. We find the real murder weapon, Misty Faye's staff, which is actually a sword, and a burnt letter from Morgan Faye to Pearl Faye with instructions that, unbeknownst to her, would affect Maya. We also find out a shocking twist. Iris is both Morgan Faye's daughter and the twin sister of Dahlia Hawthorne, the infamous murderer of Doug Swallow, and many others. This newfound information, we find out that Dahlia has been channeled, explaining the whole 2 irises in 2 different places at the same time thing. It also comes to light that Pearl attempted to follow the instructions in Morgan's letter, except because of Morgan stupidly using strong vocabulary when writing a letter to a fucking 8-year-old, Pearl didn't understand her instruction to gravely roast the master, and instead covered the scroll of Misty Faye in the inner temple with gravy, which is actually pretty funny. But what's more interesting is that Pearl couldn't channel Dahlia like Morgan wanted her to, meaning that it was someone else channeling her. It also couldn't have been Iris because she and Dahlia being in 2 places at the same time would have contradicted with that. Before the investigation concludes, Godot nicely tells Phoenix that Maya would die just like Mia, and it would be all its fault. I love Godot's character, but he can seriously be such an asshole at times. In court the next day, Iris testifies that Misty tried to kill Maya with a dagger, and in self-defense, Maya killed her. However, we know this is wrong, as there's no way Misty would try to kill her own daughter. Also, the visual counterpart of what Iris is saying shows that creepy still frame from that Maya animation I mentioned in the first video. Thanks for giving me nightmares, aceattorney. God. However, despite Phoenix's constant proof, Iris continues to deny this, which is very confusing as she was on our side for every moment up until that point. That's when it hits Phoenix. It isn't Iris in the witness stand, it's someone channeling Dahlia. Phoenix blows her cover, and the now revealed Dahlia shows her true colors. Now, here's where she actually starts telling the truth. Morgan wanted Misty and Maya dead so that Pearl would become the new Karain Master, and Dahlia just wanted to kill people that Mia cared about. In an attempt to kill Maya with a dagger, Maya turned the tables on her and stabbed her to get away. The now immobilized Dahlia wrote Maya's name on the stone lantern to cast suspicion on her right before fainting. When she woke up again, she was in the inner temple where Iris had saved her. In a really kind act of thanks, Dahlia trapped her sister in the cavern and set up the trick locks, but this also reveals that Maya is not there, leaving Phoenix devastated. But some things are not adding up here. We know where Iris was, so it couldn't have been her channeling Dahlia. We also know that Pearl wasn't able to channel Dahlia due to someone else doing so at the time. This leaves one last person who could have been channeling her, Maya. Phoenix reveals this, leaving Dahlia in a fit of rage. Pearl, channeling Mia, also comes in to further gravely roast her. In fact, they roast her so fucking bad that she gets exorcised from Maya's body in the middle of the courtroom, leaving a severely weakened Maya who fainted from exhaustion and hunger, and everyone else having witnessed this horrifying scene. However, the trial isn't over yet, as Godot reveals that although it has become clear that Maya isn't the murderer, Iris is still the prime suspect. Maya, now shaken up from everything that had transpired up until now, testifies that she had seen a man behind the person attacking her. Godot, however, argues that it would have been impossible for her to have seen him, given how the lamp wasn't lit and it was pitch black outside. But Phoenix points out the fatal flaw in his reasoning, that there is one person that would have been visible at the time, Godot himself. Of course, Godot also argues against this, but Phoenix wins in the end, and also pulls the sickest objection ever alongside the ghost of Mia. Godot, realizing the hopeless situation, confesses to the crime, explaining how he wanted Dahlia dead and Phoenix to have a lot of guilt for letting the tragedy that would consume the Faye family happen. He also further admits that as much as he hates and can't forgive Phoenix, the real person he can't find it in his heart to forgive is himself. Godot then gives his final words to Phoenix and Maya in a very bittersweet moment before presumably being placed under arrest. Iris is then called back to the stand and is declared innocent of her murder charge, but technically guilty of being an accomplice to the crime. But before being arrested, she tells Phoenix that the person he had been dating 6 years ago was not Dahlia, but in fact her. He had met the real Dahlia when he encountered her after she had poisoned Godot/Diego, and she agreed to date him just so she could pass the poison bottle on to him. Given how Phoenix wouldn't give it back to her, Dahlia just figured she could kill him to get it back, but Iris begged her not to, and offered to pose as her to get the poison back without causing violence. However, she ended up falling in love with him and wasn't able to get the poison back. The only time Phoenix ever saw the real Dahlia again was in court when he was accused of murdering Doug Swallow. This confirms both the true identities of the twin sisters and Phoenix's bisexuality. Iris also explains how she is still in love with Phoenix, but they kinda wheel her away before she finds out about his prosecutor boyfriend. Iris was such an awesome character, so it really sucks that she'll be protesting against pride parades once she gets out of her prison sentence. Anyways, with the trial now over, the gang reunites and are all super happy to see each other again, except for Franziska, who's just happy to see Maya happy. After presumably resisting the urge to passionately make out with her in celebration of Phoenix's one trial, she asks Edgeworth why Maya seems so happy. Edgeworth explains to her that she isn't doing well in the slightest. After all, her mother, who she hasn't seen in the years and could have reunited with, is dead. And she also feels like she failed to protect Godot, Pearl, and others, and just kind of feels like a failure in general, but is staying strong for Pearl. It's in this moment that we seriously realize how much Maya has been through. Like, sure, she's a happy and chipper girl who provides most of the comedy in the series, but deep down, she's really suffering from a lot. She's lost her older sister, her mother, and her sister's boyfriend who took care of her a lot. Not to mention having been accused of murder countless times, kidnapped, framed by her own aunt, and just recently, trapped in a cave and nearly killed. The amount of trauma from that must have been insane to boot. Sure, the entire cast of Ace Attorney may be traumatized gay court dwellers, but the amount of pain Maya has gone through and her ability to stay strong for other people is unbelievable. Needless to say, Franziska's into that. But with that, this crazy overarching story has been resolved. Phoenix's past has been cleared up, the Faye bloodline has been saved, and like Mia asked all that time ago, Phoenix has successfully managed to protect Maya from all of the dangers she's faced. And well, thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and it was a lot of hard work, but I really feel like it paid off in the end. Which is also why I'd appreciate it if you guys could like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. I don't want to sound too pushy and greedy, but I worked super hard on the production of this video, and it would be really greatly appreciated. This game is honestly one of the best games I've played, like, ever. The entire trilogy, too. It may have had its highs and lows, like especially in the second game, but this game makes up for pretty much any problems the series may have had. I'd personally give Trials and Tribulations and Ace Attorney Trials and Tribulations a 10 out of 10, and the overall trilogy a 9 out of 10. And well, that's about it. I'd say this is a good enough time as any to wrap up the video. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good day, everybody. Hey everyone, once again, thank you so much for watching this video. It seriously means a lot, and helps support the channel, obviously. Again, if you watch this video, please subscribe and like and share it. And, yeah. I guess all I can really say is thanks for watching. All of the gameplay clips used belong to a YouTuber named Lackery, I think is how you pronounce it. But yep, their channel is linked in the description. A super good gameplay channel. Go check them out. And yeah, thank you. Have a good day. Bye.